The Empire may have fallen, but my ambitions never wavered. I am Grand Admiral Thrawn, and my return is inevitable.
Concentrate. Take in all that is around you. Let's go again.
I have reason to believe the Empire is still a threat.
We face another war. Let's begin.
Ahsoka Tano, Anakin spoke highly of you.
Get ready. Nice trick. Got any more?
Ahsoka Tano. Jedi. Rebel. Warrior. But who is she exactly? We have 30 seconds to find out. Wow, big clock. Okay, and begin. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a brave Jedi was forged in the battles of the Clone Wars. Her name, Ahsoka Tano. She started as a Padawan under Jedi Master Anakin Skywalker. Yes, the Chosen One, who eventually became Darth Vader. She was a spy for the fledgling rebellion and helped defeat the Empire. She has 2 lightsabers. Amazing. In our new series, she faces her past while helping to prevent the return of a fearsome enemy. Ahsoka enlists the help of her friend Sabine Wren, a fiercely independent Mandalorian warrior, and General Harrison Dula, one of the best pilots in the galaxy and central member of the rebellion, and her droid Chopper. Ahsoka and Sabine will have to team up with Hera to expose an intergalactic threat from Grand Admiral Thrawn. Woo! Not bad. Chopper, how did I do? Rude?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. There's a brand new Ahsoka trailer with a whole bunch of Star Wars Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down. We also learned that they might be doing The Mandalorian Season 4 as a small movie because they want to do it before the Thrawn Heir to the Empire movie. I'll explain what's going on with that. A lot of Thrawn going on in this new trailer and what's happening in the next couple of years just in general in the Star Wars universe. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. Of course, I'll be doing episode videos for Ahsoka. I've got a couple of fun giveaways that I'll do during those episode videos too. Just starting at the beginning of the trailer footage, there's a whole bunch of Thrawn teasing his return, the fall of the Empire. The way that Dave Filoni called it, they're referring to the Shadow Council and what's left of the Empire as the Remnant Empire. There's a little bit of trailer footage where Hera Syndulla is trying to convince the New Republic Senate, including Mon Mothma, who is on the series, that the Remnant Empire is still a threat, that it actually exists. Like, that's basically her talking about the Shadow Council from The Mandalorian that we saw at the end of Season 3, and Thrawn coming back. Mostly Thrawn, but also the Shadow Council is still out there too. The Shadow Council was made up of a bunch of disparate cells of Remnant Empire people that each had their own ideas about what to do with bringing the Empire back. Like, they each had their own agenda. You probably noticed one of the funny things about that is it seemed like they all kind of didn't like each other, and none of them really liked Thrawn that much either, except for Pellaeon. They kept telling the rest of the Shadow Council, we need to prepare for Grand Admiral Thrawn's return. He's almost here.
Grand Admiral Thrawn is missing from your delegation.
Our one hope for success relies upon the secrecy of his return.
Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
He's part of the original Thrawn trilogy, so like he's another big Easter egg character that they're bringing back. Generally, the next couple of years of this part of the timeline, like the Mandoverse, they're calling it, like Ahsoka, as well as the Thrawn movie, they're adapting the Heir to the Empire storyline along with Dark Force Rising, the original Thrawn trilogy, but I think they'll actually call the Thrawn movie Heir to the Empire, like Star Wars Heir to the Empire. There'll be a lot of changes to that storyline. I'll explain that in a second too, because that gets into what's happening with Grogu, Mando, and all those characters too, and the Mandalorians just in general. But the whole idea they're teasing here is that Thrawn has his own ideas about what he wants to do with the future of the galaxy, and he believes that he can do a much better job of managing the galaxy than, say, like the Emperor. So even though Thrawn doesn't really care about Moff Gideon, for example, even though we think that he's probably still alive out there somewhere, he had all those clones, don't be surprised if he comes back at some point in the next couple of seasons. Even though the two of them don't like each other, don't care about each other that much, and think that one another should be the actual leader of this new empire, neither one of them, and probably several of the other members of the Shadow Council, don't want the Emperor to come back. And this is part of the reason why Thrawn isn't like your typical type of villain. Like, he's an antagonist in the story, but he's not a traditional type of villain. He is trying to do good things. It's just that he's very, very cold and vicious in his actions.
Start my operations here and pull the rebels apart piece by piece. They'll be the architects of their own destruction.
He's basically trying to stabilize the galaxy, but under his thumb. Not because he wants power for himself, like he doesn't really care about that. He's mostly doing all this for the benefit of his people, the Chiss. That's where his first loyalty lies. He only pretended to serve the Emperor after Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars. I'm not expecting him to show up till like the later Ahsoka episodes, so we might not learn a whole lot about his people, the Chiss, during Season 1. Like, I think the idea is they're trying to bring Thrawn back using these Jedi star maps and his people with Baylan Skoll and obviously Morgan Elsbeth. But I think part of the idea is that he'll show up at the end of the series with this giant new fleet of ships and it'll be like, oh crap, the New Republic is screwed. Then like The Mandalorian Season 4 or the Thrawn movie, then they'll get into a little bit of his backstory in the Chiss. Then during the trailer, they have a little bit of Jedi training with Ahsoka training Sabine Wren, and it's meant to be a parallel for Luke Skywalker being trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi wearing his blast helmet. But because Dave Filoni said that the Ahsoka series in general is meant to feel kind of like a samurai film, like they designed it to look more like a samurai film, Ahsoka's meant to feel more like a Ronin kind of Jedi. The helmet she's wearing looks more like a kendo helmet, which is also another deep cut for the original George Lucas classic trilogy. When he originally designed the whole concept of Jedi fighting styles and lightsabers, he designed it to look a little bit more like kendo fighting, like they used two hands to fight this way.
Things were really, really heavy, that we couldn't take a hand off. We always had to have two. It was like Excalibur. It was 40, 50 pounds of weight.
Mark Hamill told a lot of funny stories about this when they were making the original trilogy. Like, by the time they got to Return of the Jedi, he's like, George, we could actually make these fights look way cooler if we could actually just use one hand when we're fighting with the lightsabers. But at least back when they were making those movies, George Lucas would not waver. He's like, no, you have to use two hands to fight with the lightsaber. They're meant to be incredibly heavy. He finally relented on that by the time they got to the prequel movies and let them fight with one hand on lightsabers and use two lightsabers. That's when they started to develop more Jedi fighting styles and wrote them into the canon. So if you hear about the traditional Jedi fighting forms, that's where that originally came from. When they were shooting the prequels, they wanted to have more dynamic looking lightsaber fights. We also see David Tennant's Huyang Jedi droid sitting there watching them. This is meant to be taking place on Ahsoka's ship. I think the idea is that she's been with him for a while now. Hopefully they'll use his character to get in a lot of the ancient Jedi lore. He's meant to be over 1,000 years old, so he's older than Master Yoda. A lot of people asking if there's any connection to the droid from Jedi Survivor, who's a High Republic droid. The antagonist from Jedi Survivor was also left over from the High Republic too. The timeline doesn't quite match up for that, but there might be some Easter eggs for the High Republic with Thrawn's new ships. This is what the interior of his ships look like. The design language does look a little bit similar to that droid in the High Republic stuff from Jedi Survivor. Part of the idea with Jedi Survivor, the sequel that they're working on right now, Cal Kestis, all that stuff, I think they want to do that third game before they introduce him in live action, but then they will introduce him in live action just because it's so rich from a story perspective. Why would you not try and integrate some of that with the live action stuff?
Remember, just feel it.
All right.
You're on Kobo. The Mogul Wampa thing is coming. You're not scared. Show me focus. Good. Not playing baseball.
Right.
You will take me to the senator now.
You will take me to the senator
No
now.
less risk.
Hold it. You get two lightsabers?
Well, technically one, but I can split them.
You never gave me two lightsabers.
That's also one of the reasons why you see a lot of the Luke Skywalker, Cal Kestis Easter eggs, the promos that they were shooting for those games when they were releasing them. Like, oh yeah, we'll do this in live action at some point too. Then they have the scenes of both Ahsoka and Sabine lightsaber fighting with Shin Hati and the Inquisitor Marok in that forest. It seems like the same planet where the Jedi star map was, just based on the backgrounds. This last scene of Ahsoka and Sabine in Ahsoka's ship is also her wearing a New Republic uniform. That's what that blue uniform is. During the earlier trailers where you see Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati board the New Republic ship and just mow through all those New Republic soldiers, they're wearing the same types of uniforms. There might be some Grogu, some Mando crossover, but the whole idea with the Mandalorian Season 4 movie that you may have heard in your feeds, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau wanted to release that before the big Thrawn movie that they're working on. Like, that's the actual movie that they were hyping up a little while ago. There are a bunch of story arcs and things that they wanted to set up before that movie begins, and it was going to happen in the Mandalorian Season 4, but because of the strike delaying everything, they have this timeline. They want to get the next Star Wars movie out by a certain date. They might not have enough time to shoot an entire regular season of The Mandalorian for Season 4, so they might just collapse that down to a single movie and speed run all the important stuff. Most of that would involve Grogu learning more about the Force, doing more training himself, getting more powerful, the Mandalorian clans continuing to restore or almost have finished restoring the Great Forge in rearming their people with Beskar armor, Beskar weapons. Probably a crossover with Ahsoka, Sabine, Hera, the other Star Wars Rebels characters that are debuting in the Ahsoka series, and them pledging their support together, like everybody learning about the threat of Thrawn together, because Mando doesn't really know about Thrawn right now. Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians also probably don't know that much about Thrawn coming back. They know that Thrawn exists because he faced them during Star Wars Rebels before the events of the original trilogy, but they don't know that he's back yet. So I think the idea is that originally they planned at the end of Mandalorian Season 4 to have a Thrawn crossover where he shows up with all of his forces and they all stand together pledging their support to face him together. Then you pick up with the events of that Thrawn Heir to the Empire movie with things going crazy like a traditional Star Wars movie. There will be multiple seasons of Ahsoka, like they're not going to do 10 seasons of The Mandalorian. At some point, they will end The Mandalorian. Grogu will go on to more adventures, probably on whatever future season of Ahsoka they're on. Let me know if you spotted any other Easter eggs in the footage that I didn't talk about in the video. My episode videos will start posting real soon after they start releasing them. There'll be a couple other bonus videos before that too, so leave all your requests in the comments below, or if you have big questions about the characters just in general. Click here for my new Ahsoka, Darth Vader, and Anakin Skywalker video for their history together, and click here for my new X-Men 97 teaser trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.